Progressivism. Good evening. I'd like to discuss something today about progressivism. And this is more specifically progressivism than why it's so attractive to political leaders and to political movements. Now, true conservatism is small government. In other words, government not getting involved in issues that should be left to the private sector. Likewise, you have an effort to try to make government stay out of our lives. Yet, when a politician gets into power, often a Republican or even a Democrat, Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter really, get into power, they are very prone to fall into progressivism. And why do they do this? Well, progressivism has its roots in the idea that, gosh, we got to do something about this. An inability to accept reality for what reality is. So they'll see a situation and they say, well, we have to have the government act. You know, I have to show how much I've succeeded by showing how many bills I've signed, or how many laws I've passed, or how many new codes I've created, or how much money I brought back to my district. And that becomes the core of what they value their success by, judge their success by. The problem is, all those measures typically result in progressivism, typically result in a government intrusion into private life. In the name of fixing a problem, they instead create more problems, which, of course, they have to fix in the future and create yet more problems. And hence, progressivism creates a government that ends up being oppressive, inserting itself into every possible aspect of your life, whether it's worth it or not. And the only hope we have as civilians under a progressive government is that they don't enforce the laws that are on the books. Currently, right now, as things are, I can almost guarantee you that you watching here right now are breaking maybe 4 or 5 laws. Almost guarantee it. We have literally thousands upon tens of thousands of laws that are in place. Many created by judges through rulings, many created by legislatives on a county level, state level, federal level, many created by bureaucrats in government bureaus, Department of Education regulations, codes, and rules for the different things they're supposed to be controlling, and so on and so forth. The end result is you live in a world where if someone wanted to arrest you and charge you with a crime, I guarantee you you're guilty, because there's some law somewhere along the line that you've broken. So the civilian population lives in a state of fear, and a state of hoping that the government doesn't actually look into them. Just keep your head low, shut up, so you don't get noticed. Now, we try to counter this by electing conservatives into government. And what happens when the conservative gets into government, instead of dismantling these codes, they sit there and go, well, gosh, a child was raped here. Well, what we need to do now is create a new code of law dealing with child rape in this area. And, oh my goodness, there was an oil spill here. Well, we need to create a new law dealing with boats and such. And they end up becoming just as bad as the progressives that they were sent in to change. There has to be a fundamental change in looking at government. Instead of looking at government as the cure to all our problems, instead of looking at the government as a clearinghouse for what we want to create as an ideal world, we should look at government as a public service that is meant to give us basic structure, and outside of that, all other services, all other visions of the world and creating a better world has to come from us on a personal and community basis. That we have to create organizations, a lot more private organizations to do these things. If someone is suffering from cancer, we should set up a private organization and have the wealthy contribute, and they could contribute to this fund to help people with cancer. If you're someone that is suffering from poverty, then you should have groups that were trying to set up funds to help businesses start up in those communities and maybe create neighborhood watches to increase security so there's less crime, so the businesses can thrive, so that people can grow and have jobs, and change that poor community into a prosperous community, regardless of skin color. We have to start looking at people as people and look at the real problems. And instead of going to the government, with the government inserting itself on every issue that ever pops its head up and deciding that it has to be there to help. What about disasters? We, the civilians, should come to the aid of those groups. Only in the most extreme cases can I forgive sending troops in to help. But in truth, it should be done on a local level first and foremost. And at worst, on the state level. Federal government should be the last possible insertion into that environment, and they should be the first one out when it's done. But the change has to happen with us. Our politicians have to learn from this change, from our change, that when they come back to us, that we'll praise them when they say, we didn't start a new law on this. We didn't create a new program. We didn't create extra funding for this. We didn't create, and we want to hear them instead say, we cut back on this. We stopped this program. We stopped this bureau. We cut down this department. We minimalized this. We've reduced the restrictions on your life. What does this mean? Now, the liberal will probably tell you that, well, gosh, without progressivism, then people are going to have they're going to act in bad ways, and the government won't be able to protect you. It's not the job of the government to protect you all the time. Sometimes it's your job to protect yourself. And yes, this means some bad things will happen. But you have to accept that they're not the frequent thing. If you see something in the news, it makes it look like it's everywhere, but it's not. It's one incident, one place. That's it. You know, it's not widespread. So you have to accept that this is an imperfect world, that you'll have bad actors involved in the things. And at the private level, the civilian population should deal with these bad actors. Either drive them out of business, boycott their businesses, whatever. Advertise how these are bad businesses, whatever. Anyways, this is my comment about progressivism and how the government tends to be, how politicians tend to end up becoming progressives, even if you sent them in to fix progressivism. Thank you very much. Have yourself a good day, and God bless.